Here's a highlight from a recent episode of Booked on Rock.
Harry Angus, he is the author of the Encyclopedia of Jerry Garcia Music Venues. I wanted to finish with some of the shows that the Dead played in Egypt in 78. There's a color photo of the Sound and Light Theater in Giza, Egypt. There are some great stories in there, and one about Jerry climbing to the top of a pyramid. There's another one, if you could share the story that Bob Weir talks about when the Dead played at the foot of the Great Pyramid, and he describes the scene and what he sees.
Yeah, this is the gig where mosquitoes start swarming around the band, bats start flying in, the full moon's rising, and the pyramid is lit up with Bedouins on camels with guns. It's a great story. I don't have it in detail, but I'm gonna read what I have in the book of it. I'm sure there's more that I'm not aware of, but the night before the Grateful Dead's first show at Giza Sound and Light Theater at the foot of the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid, singer-guitarist Bob Weir took a stroll around the open-air venue during sound check. Some of the Egyptian drummers we played with were rehearsing, Weir recalls, and I got to a point where the head of the Sphinx was lined up at the top of the Great Pyramid, all lit up. All of a sudden, I went to this timeless place. The sounds from the stage, they could have been from any time. And it was as if Weir says, I went into eternity. So you got to think back to that tune Into Eternity or Under Eternity. And I don't know, to me, that sounds like that's where he started that thought. At any rate, there's a little bit more. One moment stands out from Bob Weir, and I don't know why it's coming to me now, but we were in Egypt. The first night of 3, we were playing at an amphitheater at the foot of the Sphinx and the foot of the Great Pyramid. They lit it up really nice. There was a light show and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty spectacular. We were not that far from the Nile River. But anyway, the sun was going down and we start playing. Lights came on and I hear a mosquito buzz in my ear. One lands on my arm, and as we're playing, I realize it's dusk and I look around and there's mosquitoes everywhere. I'm figuring, okay, this is going to be a welcome to hell and I'm not going to be able to play a note. I'm starting to swat at mosquitoes. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? And just as I'm thinking that, a shape goes by my head real fast, and the full moon's starting to rise now. It's going to be an eclipse pretty soon. Backlit, you can see on the bluffs on either side of the theater, there's these sand dunes. And these bluffs are now ringed with Bedouins on their horses and camels, with their rifles over their shoulders, hundreds of them on either side. They had heard that this was going on and came to check it out. Meanwhile, back on the stage, we've got a cloud of mosquitoes. And as it turns out, that shape that flew by my head, another one flies by, and then another. I look around again, and there are these bats, about 1.5 feet across, big fellas, lots of them going after the mosquitoes. So if you back off from this, what you see is the Great Pyramid lit up, golden, magenta, whatever color it was at that moment. And the Sphinx also lit up, and the theater surrounded by these Bedouins. And on the stage is the band all lit up, surrounded by a cloud of bats. It had to be one of the most sublime moments that ever occurred. I left my body, he laughs. If I had to freeze a moment in time, this is it. Take me, Lord. This is how I want to remember it. And then there's a little Jerry one. That was really a mind blower. I can honestly say I was a different person before and after those shows. It was a really profound experience. Wow, playing right in the middle of the pyramids. What a totally beautiful thing, like a psychedelic dream.